Good evening and welcome to the December 19th, 2024 meeting of the Mount Juliet Municipal and Regional Planning Commission meeting. As we begin tonight, I want to start off with my apologies. I was absent last month. Enjoyed myself a little mini vacation and took some time off, but excited to be back. And thankful for another great year to be alive and be in Mount Juliet. 2024 was a interesting year, good year, and a year that filled the years to come with opportunities as we set forth going and planning. I know a lot of that is being done as we move through tonight, move through today, move through our lives on a personal level as well. Want to wish all my fellow commission members and those at home a very Merry Christmas and a safe and happy holiday season. And with that, also want to announce, and I'm going to catch him off guard here a little bit. We have a new member for our planning commission via election and representing the Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Art Giles, which I have known for a long time. And Art and I served on this commission together for 7-8 years, somewhere like that previously there. So Art, anything you wish to add here, please?
No, just glad to be back. Thank you for the people who put me in this position, and then for the commission who felt that I would do good in this position as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Likewise, with Art coming on board, I'd like to also extend my my gratitude for Art's fellow commissioner and Commissioner Scott Hefner, and for his time and his duties that he spent as a representative for the BOC back to the Planning Commission and his time of service as well. We will miss Commissioner Hefner, and at the same time, welcome Commissioner Giles on board with us here tonight. With that being said, I do like to read this because we do have a member absence. The presence of 5 members of the commission shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, wait up to 30 minutes after the scheduled meeting time for a quorum to be present. In the event that a member is required to leave a meeting prior to adjournment and the departure causes a loss of quorum, no further official action may be taken until a quorum is restored, other than an adjournment. A majority vote of those commissioners present, and in no case less than 4 affirmative votes, shall be required to decide any item of business requiring action by the commission. That being said, we'll move on to our next item, and that is to set our agenda. I do have a few changes that I would like to announce. Item 7A, which was to review the site plan for Providence Commons Phase 2, located off South Mount Juliet Road, was deferred prior to tonight's meeting. Also, we need to add on items 6E, 6G, need to be reflective of the addition of plan of services to both of those, as well as a plan of services for the Chrisman properties at 8790 Saundersville Road. I think that was just inadvertently left off of our prepared agenda. So I want to make the announcement of the plan of services being included within those line items on our agenda. Any other changes, adjustments, amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we will set the agenda as stated. Move on to our next item on the agenda. That will begin our staff reports. We'll begin with our city planner, Mr. John Bachman, please.
Thank you, sir. I have nothing other than Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Wonderful. Jill, anything you wish to add?
Just wish everyone a Merry Christmas and thank you all for dealing with us throughout the year, helping us along and making us a successful team. We greatly appreciate it and love working with each of you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you guys for all you do. Shane, Public Works.
Merry Christmas to everybody. We can talk about business next month, but we've done a lot this year, and we can't do it without the support of our Board of Commissioners, our residents, and our Planning Commission board. So proud to serve, and we wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Next item up on our agenda falls underneath our citizen comments. This time we will take our citizen comments. Public is welcome and encouraged to make public comment about any item on our agenda. There will be 2 opportunities for you to make comments. You may speak now, or you may speak when the item is presented to the Planning Commission. We do ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, and that anyone that wishes to address the Planning Commission at this time is welcome and encouraged to do so. Come to the microphone and name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, move forward with the next item up on our agenda. Next item up is item 5A, which is to approve the minutes for the November 21st, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Any changes, adjustments, amendments?
Provided my comments, Kenny.
Wonderful. We have one minor adjustment. Was that just a typo, Commissioner Rass?
Yes.
Wonderful. Any other changements or adjustments? This time I'm looking for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda.
Make a motion to approve with Commissioner Rass changes.
It's a motion and a second by Commissioner Rast. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstentions?
I'm going to abstain from all the minutes.
Wonderful. So approved. All right. Everybody bear with me here. We're going to have a good consent agenda for me to read. Excuse me. The next item up is number 6 underneath the consent agenda. We'll begin with item 6A, sewer letter of credit number 423-859-000 in the amount of $168,111 for canvas at Mount Juliet, Park Glen, phase 7 through 9 can be released. Item 6B, sewer letter of credit number 1523 in the amount of $431,525.85 for Legacy Point Phase 1 can be released. Sewer letter of credit number 165-146-8480-772 in the amount of $119,005.50 for Jackson Hills Phase 5 can be released. Item 6D, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners to review the land use plan amendment for the Chrisman property located off Karen Drive. Item 6E, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners to review the annexation request, including a plan of services for the Chrisman properties located off Lebanon Road and Karen Drive. Item 6F, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners, is to review the rezone request for the Chrisman properties located off Lebanon Road and Karen Drive. Item 6G, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners, is to review the annexation request, including a plan of services for 8790 Saundersville Road. Item 6H, review the preliminary plat for Lakewood Estates located at 1006 Gill Road. Item 6I, review the final plat for public storage Golden Bear located off Golden Bear Gateway. Item 6J, review the preliminary plat for Golden Bear Place located off Golden Bear Gateway and Old Beckwith Drive. Item 6K, review the final plat for Golden Bear Place located off of Golden Bear Gateway and Old Beckwith Drive. Item 6L, review the final plat for Devonshire Phase 4 located off Devonshire Drive. Item 6M, review the final plat modification for Windtree Pines Phase 2, lots 30 and 31 located at 232 Penn High Drive. Item 6N, review the preliminary plat for Tomlinson Point located at 2844 Curd Road. Item 6O, review the final master development plan for Tomlinson Point located at 2844 Curd Road. Item 6P, review the preliminary plat for Yorkshire Estates located at 1000 York Road. Item 6Q, review the final master development plan for Yorkshire Estates located at York Road. Almost ran out of letters. How about that? Begin with our city planner, Mr. John. Comments?
Yes, sir. Staff recommends approval of all these or positive recommendation as it applies. One or a couple comments on one of the items on Tomlinson Point 6N. There's a couple conditions in the planning and zoning list of conditions that need to be removed because I didn't delete them when I should have. They're incorrect. It's number 1, number 9, 10, and 11. Those were based on the an older PMDP, not the one that was just recently amended and approved. So those 4 comments, 1, 9, 10, and 11 under planning and zoning need to be struck off of here.
Okay, very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shane, anything from Public Works?
Engineering recommends approval or positive recommendation of the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the commission at this time? I will open up because I do have a couple. Let me organize myself. Let's pray for Shane here on this one. The Christmas property, we see it on here multiple times. Is there sewer available to that?
Not today.
How far away? Isn't it pretty significant?
So the city of Mount Juliet and the Wilson County School Board are working towards taking over, with the city taking over ownership of the force main that serves West Elementary School. That'll be coming before the board in January. Sam's been helping us with that. At that point in time, if a developer wants to explore extending sewer that way, it'd be a lot closer for them.
Okay. But that'd be at their expense for the extension of sewer, should that be approved.
Yes, sir.
What would this might end up being a John question as well then. Without sewer, how much are they able to do? And with sewer, what are they able to do?
There's not a lot. Commercial development would be off the table entirely, and then residential, if they were to go that route, it would be they got to have an acre lot, and then they would have to perk for a sewer. It could be unbuildable. The property owner understands this.
Okay.
He's looking ahead, looking to the future. He just wants it annexed in for future plans, but there's nothing planned for it right now. He's an older gentleman.
Yeah.
Just looking to annex it and get it in while he can. But there aren't any plans specifically right now. Now, if it were to develop in any way, the sewer system, that issue would have to be taken care of.
And this one is on, make sure my letters continued the same, 6H. The Lakewood Estates at 1006 Gill Road. That is just was that approved? That was approved in the county, so we're seeing it because it lies within our UGB.
Yes, sir.
So even though we gave it a negative recommendation, Wilson County chose to approve it. Wonderful. Where are they getting their sewer? Do we know?
Step systems, percolate, septic.
Their septic systems?
Mhm.
There you go. Okay.
Sad.
Let's see. Oh, 6I. This is on the public storage right there. So this has the public storage and had the bowling alley and whatnot next to it. Is it a different one?
Different. This is across the street. This is the Project Jolene.
Okay.
Remember that PUD? It's that one industrial lot along, up along the front there on the south side of that that PUD.
I was getting them confused. All right, perfect. All right, 6L. This is in reference to the Devonshire Phase 4 project. As I was looking at that right there, and this would be the final plat, Colfax Drive, which comes off Mary Court, currently hammerheads into this subdivision. And should that be terminated? I mean, I'm assuming that they chose not to do anything down there to Colfax on this, probably because of topo and grade or whatnot in that area. I just don't want it to be confusing for future residents of whether or not that road can eventually be tapped in and this be developed, or should we impose upon the developer to, I know there's only 2 houses currently serving that, but generally when we terminate something, we do require it to form into a roundabout. The roundabout would be placed upon their property, so it seems that burden would be placed upon them. And at least if it's turned into a roundabout, it becomes something that's no longer accessible for any future growth or development.
I'll comment and say, just from what I know on this, there is topography issues, and I think that this is laid out the way it is because it had to be. I haven't seen anything come across that would indicate that they're going to add anything more than what you see here.
Yeah.
That could always change, though.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
par for the course versus what we approved.
Right.
But I'm just wondering whether or not we should address Colfax Court and the perception that's going to give to people for future development because of the way it's currently designed and laid out. And since they purchased the property in which Colfax Court would have been extended to, would it not be their responsibility to make it a terminus point? Even if it's only a 2-lot hammerhead, I think our regulations require it to turn into a roundabout, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, cul-de-sac, sorry.
This subdivision, I believe, Willoughby may have started out in the county or was brought in after the fact, different regulations at the time. But I wanted to make sure of this as well. There's stream buffers on the side, on the other side. I don't think it's
Of
buildable.
Colfax Court?
Yes, I don't think
Okay.
it's buildable.
Yeah, okay. So
I
that's
think,
gonna,
but I don't think it'd be practical to expand any more than what they've got here for zoning. The lots approved.
That too, yeah.
So I think that would be a permanent dead end.
okay. So they would have, I mean, they'd have to make a major, this is all a PUD, so they'd have to make a major amendment to try to do anything with that. Is that correct? All right. Please.
I'd
Please.
also like to point out that the length of Colfax right now is under 150 feet and serves less than 4 units, so it is not required to be cul-de-sac.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, because that one right there, I remember I took a lot of heat on when this came before us. Probably lost a few friends on that one because of the connection of Sydney Terrace back over eventually to Devonshire and kind of some friendly fire, but can remember back when even Willoughby Station was developed, it was always designed to connect over there to Devonshire. So just trying to make sure that something in the future doesn't come up. My last one would be for the 6N preliminary plat Thomason Point. And this just really has to do with sewer. I know that it seems with the availability of land that things are pressing east to us right now. Large tracks, small tracks, or various size tracks out there. The sewer that's running through Tomlinson, is it being designed to, I'm assuming that we're looking for east-west on our sewer system. Is what's going in there going to handle anything that could continue to come east, or would you have a different plan to continue to bring sewer east?
Right now, Thompson Point, that we're not looking to anticipate extension as a trunk line to serve that portion of town. We have an interceptor line that runs right at Golden Bear in front of Stone Hollow, where there's opportunities for development to tap in if they can secure easements and such. That the city we would at that point entertain some sort of upsizing with the partnership.
Should anything go east of Beckwith at that point?
Yes.
Okay. It was just one of those things that made me think as we expand our UGB to make sure that we're looking at sewer lines, trunk lines, even if it's oversized, that by putting it in, it's sometimes easier to go ahead and put it in and be ready than try to come back through at the end. That's all that I have.
I'd just like to say something.
Please, Commissioner Rast.
I'm sure there's folks here regarding York Road, Yorkshire Estates. I don't like the subdivision. I haven't liked it from the beginning. York Road, I still say cannot handle any additional traffic. It's just not safe there. And being right next to the firing range is not the best location for a residential subdivision. I'd love to find something here I could latch on to say no, but there's nothing within our ordinances that I can latch on to. I just want to say that for any of the folks that are here to speak on that. That's just my position.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments from the commission? This time, I'd like to open the floor to citizen comments. Citizens are welcome and encouraged to make comment about any item on our consent agenda at this time. Anyone wishing to make comment, please come to the microphone and name and address for the record. Only hearing the cell phone and seeing no citizen comments at this time, we will close our planning commission meeting in order to open a public hearing. The public hearing is in regards to items 6E, 6G, 6I, 6K, 6L, and 6M. Item 6E is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners. Review the annexation request, including a plan of services for the Crispin properties located off Lebanon Road and Karen Drive. Item 6G is review the annexation request, including a plan of services for 8790 Saundersville Road. Item 6I is review the final plat for public storage, Golden Bear, located off Golden Bear Gateway. Item 6K is review the final plat for Golden Bear Place, located off of Golden Bear Gateway and Old Beckwith Drive. Item 6L, review the final plat for Devonshire Phase 4, located off Devonshire Drive. Item 6M, review the final plat modification for Wintry Pines Phase 2, lots 30 and 31, located at 232 Penhigh Drive. Anyone wishing to make comment on any of those items during the public hearing, welcome and encouraged to do so. And please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments, we'll close our public hearing, reopen our planning commission meeting, and at which time I'm looking for a recommendation in regards to the items on the consent agenda.
A motion to approve and those items of the consent agenda, understanding what they said as conditions of completion.
Wonderful. That's a motion. I'll second your motion. May I add the inclusion on item 6N to remove planning comments 1, 9, 10, and 11? That be okay? Commissioner?
Oh, yes.
Is that okay? All right, that's a motion and a second. No worries. All those in favor signify by saying aye, raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved.
I'm sorry, I thought we'd already decided.
No, ma'am. Oh, good. All right, our next item up on the agenda falls underneath the final plat. It's item 8A. It is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners. It is to review the final plat for Mount Juliet Church of Christ located at 1940 North Mount Juliet Road. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you very much. Just a quick update on this. This is for the Mount Juliet Church of Christ just down the road here. They are actually bringing this in as a consolidation plat, trying to bring in 3 of their currently owned parcels, consolidating them into one parcel. Normally, this would be a staff review, but because of the addition of the request to have right-of-way abandonment off of 2nd Avenue, therefore, that kicks it for you all to hear it. And it also, that portion of this will also have to be recommended to the Board of Commissioners since there is right-of-way abandonment. So that's the reason we just went ahead and brought the final plat before you all to look at it, and also your recommendation on the right-of-way abandonment as well.
Very well. Thank you. Shane, anything from Public Works on this one?
Staff recommends approval with our comments.
Very well. Questions or comments from the commission?
So first of all, I would like to thank the Church of Christ. You have been a light in our community for many years in your congregation. Several years ago, we had a development come up on the south side of your church across the street. In that development, they agreed, and they had, and your church agreed, and we didn't go back other day, John and Jill, and find, I don't think where, but I think that they had representatives here, did they not, when they were going to work it out with that developer? Because for some reason, and this goes back several years, because that piece of property has not developed yet. And, but I know personally through the years, anytime that I came in contact with someone from that church, I normally would thank them for what they've done by allowing that greenway to go on the south side of the church along that creek. The problem with this is now, in my opinion, is that that development has not happened to the south. And so now that you're going to record and get rid of this right of way, isn't that right, for better words, it would be an opportune time to go on and put that as a give us easement for 20-foot wide easement along where that it's drawn as the greenway, which is there would be on the north side of the creek and going west, east and west. And then obviously y'all own half of that bridge, and that was supposed to be where the greenway would come through that as well. So you could put the wordage in there and go on when you do that, it would include that bridge. Correct my terminology on this, guys. I'm just trying to remember if this is right.
No, you're correct. And the development to the south, one of their conditions of PUD approval was that they work with the church
Right.
to establish a space for that greenway to go on the north side of Stoners Creek. Using that existing bridged crossover. And like you said, like what could be done with this plat is an easement recorded with the plat on this plat that would make that possible in the future.
Yes, and that way, because we don't, and I've been gone for 4 years as far as the commission and maybe just come to one of these meetings, I'm not for sure. But the thing about it is that has not been developed yet. And we worked so hard to get that going over there on that south side. And hopefully it will be developed soon. But if not, we still need that, because if they was to go away, there's things that we can do as the city. And this was really big as far as the BPAC is concerned, and I chair it and I still do. And again, I really thought there was some representative from your church, and I may be wrong. Again, this has been years that was here, because I know I encourage the BPAC about twice a year, if they know anybody from Mount Juliet Church of Christ, to thank them for what they were doing as far as that greenway is concerned over there. So it just wouldn't be something I'm dreaming about. It was something that was reality. But it would be better if it would be recorded on the plat, so that we could move forward in case something happened to that development over there. We could always try to apply for a grant, because we need that connectivity through there. The benefits of that greenway in front of close to your church, and I've talked to people from your church, is that, when you come around that curve, the first thing you see is your church. See it every day that I come through there. And then the people who live in that area, in those apartments that come and walk, they're going to see your church. And so if somebody's looking for a church to go, where are they going to think first? They're going to think Mount Juliet Church of Christ, because they see it every day walking on the greenway. So it's almost like an outreach ministry as well as being able for people to see your church. But we really need some kind of clarification on that, because this is coming up again.
You're actually right. We had a development come on West Division during your time that had a portion of the greenway. Then as well, we had two developments. One was kind of a mixed use deal, just to the south of the church, that the greenway was heavy discussion, and then all the way up on Old Mount Juliet Road section to Old Railroad Bed right there, with the discussion of the greenway. So you are correct.
Yeah, this is in the master greenway plan, and it is connectivity down there to that section of the greenway. And I don't remember, and I didn't look past this plat, but does that actually join it yet, or is there some space past the Church of Christ property?
I do think there's some space past the Church of Christ property. I did pull up the ordinance that we
Okay.
discussed for that subject property that is just to the south of the Church of Christ. And the condition, it fell under Public Works at the time. It says a 10-foot wide greenway shall be constructed along Stoners Creek between Old Mount Juliet Road and the existing greenway at Hickory Station Townhomes. This improvement is subject to the property owner approval and the ability to acquire a public access easement on the subject property, which is the Church of Christ.
Right.
So
And-
your recollection is correct.
Right. And we may have been told, because I can't remember this, I don't remember if there wasn't a representative from the Church of Christ, but we were told that was worked out then, because again, we didn't dream this. This was told us. And so for all of these years now, we've been, again, commenting to anybody that we know that goes. Of course, I've got, friends that go to your church, that's in that congregation. So it needs to be taken care of, because we need that in writing.
Do we have any representation here for this project by chance? Hold on, come on up. Name and address for the record when you come on up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem.
My name's Tommy Smith, and I.
Give me an address. Give me an address real quick.
For.
You.
My,
Please.
810 Hillview Drive,
Perfect.
here in Mount Juliet.
Yes, sir.
And I'm actually a member of the Mount Juliet Church of Christ, and I really appreciate your comments. We definitely strive to plug into the community and be a light. So I appreciate your comments. So I guess I'm really here to field any questions, but I have a question in regards to the Greenway Trail that you were alluding to. I'm not aware of any conversation the church has had with anybody in the past. I've been a member now for 3 years, so that was kind of before my time. So I can't really answer any questions along that line. But if there are any technical questions or anything like that in regards to the actual survey itself, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Would it be, I guess, let me ask Commissioner Giles, would it be appropriate to maybe keep it as, or add it as a potential comment to this recommendation? And then with Mr. Smith here, and then try to work on it between this point and the BOC, with it being a recommendation item back to the BOC for its ultimate final approval?
Yeah.
Shane, you got something you want to input, please?
When the church reached out to us about the right-of-way abandonment, we were simultaneously, the city was doing a sewer project, and we acquired easements from the church, and the Greenway came up then. I'd have to talk to the contact person I've had at the church, Mr. Martin,
Yeah, Tim Martin.
and I can get that back on the front burner on what we had discussed and how to move this forward. So I can make that effort. However you guys decide want to vote tonight, it's up to y'all. But I'm just having a hard time recollecting what we talked about discussing on getting that sewer easement, but on that Greenway easement, we did talk about it though.
It's been a minute.
Yes.
Yes.
It, on that development there, it's drawn in, and maybe in between now and this goes to the commission, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In between now and then, would you contact that development over there and see how much progress they've had or who they've talked with? And that way we could maybe include that person so that we have all that. And Shane, we need to, if you're going to research, you'll be researching as well. We need to make sure that bridge is mentioned in there. That bridge, like that's part of this right-of-way thing that you've got here tonight, was part of an abandonment, which is ludicrous that this city did that years ago. I was not sitting on the board. I would have never voted for that. So that was abandonment for that bridge. And because it was contiguous to y'all, it went to you. So that obviously needs to be included in that.
If I could point out something, running along Stoner's Creek there is a floodway that runs along the creek there, obviously, and it's my understanding that there can be no development within that floodway. So I'm not sure if that would disclose any direction as far as the commission's concerned to allow for development in that area or not.
Let's let Shane comment on that, please.
Greenways are allowed in the floodway. Structures cannot be built in the floodway.
Just a Greenways loan. Very well. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good.
Can we make that a condition of our recommendation
To work it out?
for if we approve it? Make
Sure.
that a condition of that without the applicant being
Sure.
here? Okay.
I'm sure we'll have a lot of discussion at the commission.
Yeah. Please. Yes, ma'am.
If I'm following what you've been commenting on, I want to add that the plat approval won't go to the BOC. It's just the right-of-way abandonment that actually goes to the BOC. The plat approval ends here. So if you
So
were
if we-
talking about adding comments to the plat, that's not actually going to the BOC.
So if we want to approve the plat, so we would,
You kind of have a two-step or two-part thing here. It's
So-
a final plat approval and also a recommendation to the BOC for the right-of-way abandonment.
So a positive recommendation, should that be granted, in this case, would approve the plat, but then send the right of way to the BOC, but the plat remains what we approve here
That's
tonight.
correct. Yes,
But they could reject doing that as well.
the right-of-way
correct.
abandonment.
No, I'm talking about, yeah, I mean, to put the greenway for the easement down through there.
Correct.
You bet.
Well, see, the reason that we brought this up was because they're already going to be recording that. And it would be an opportune time for them to do all of it at one time. Is that not right?
I don't disagree with you. I was just commenting on the fact
Yep.
that it's not going to the
Uh-huh.
BOC. So
Yep.
whatever you want, it needs to be decided.
So if you want
now.
that note added to the final plat, it would need to be added here as a condition of the approval of the final plat.
Yeah, yeah, what?
Please, yes, sir, absolutely.
Could you add something that says work with the, or, yeah, never mind. I thought I had something. There's got, that's, yeah. Could we forward the recommendation? Nah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't,
It's-
yeah.
Kind of a catch
You'd have to ask
22.
for it for now, yeah. We could word it in a way maybe that it's not binding if the church doesn't agree to it. I don't know.
How important is this to be passed on this commission? Is this something is there a reason why y'all are wanting this right now, or could it wait? In
Well,
other words,
obviously, it's the church has been there for a long time. And that portion of Second Avenue it's not used. And the church just wants, they want a surety that, if it's not being used by the public, they would like to see it abandoned so that they have a surety that there's not going to be, a roadway brought through there. I mean, from it's my understanding that just from the history of the church, there's never been an improved road right there. That's my understanding, but I could be wrong on that. Like I said, I don't know for a fact. But they would like to, they would like to resolve that, as well as this gives them the opportunity to shift some lot lines there to clear up some new construction that's been done on the church property, particularly the pavilion.
Mhm.
So that enables them to, establish a title line that's clear of any kind of encroachment or anything like that. So it's just kind of a cleanup process as well. So
and so is what I'm asking for too, because
Mhm.
if we can get this now, then if that development goes away, which I doubt it would, but if it does, or it doesn't sell for whenever, if it was to come up for sale, I mean, we can try to get a grant to do this greenway. We need this for the city. That is right there in it. And we even talked about this years ago, where that will eventually go over there to the trailhead as far as Eagle Park is concerned there. And it feeds that whole area. It's really important. So
Shane, you had something else you wanted to add?
I just want to corroborate what Mr. Smith was saying. When I talked to the church, Mr. Martin, they didn't want to expand on their footprint and this right-of-way issue come back when none of us are here and permanent structures are sitting on a right-of-way. And like Mr. Smith saying, they wanted to resolve it now one way or the other as part of expansion.
can we push a deferral?
You'd have to request a deferral.
If he's a representative.
Please.
There's a time frame for plat approvals. So if they're not approved, I believe it's 60 days. I was trying to find the exact time frame, but I believe it's 60, then they're automatically approved. So with the exception of the applicant can agree to extend the time frame. So if the applicant agrees to, then we can move it to the next meeting.
So we would not want to be the deferring body, because it would constitute an immediate approval,
Correct.
because it would be over.
So it would be
greater
the
than 60
next
days.
meeting.
If the applicant agrees to that. Yes.
And that should give us enough time with the city to work this out with y'all.
Okay.
What he's
If
asking.
y'all would be amenable to that.
What he's asking, Mr. Wright, is, and I think staff could concur that next month, there's no projects being presented to this body that would have any kind of road extension, anything being done on Second Avenue that we're aware of.
Not on Second, but there is the possibility of the project that adjoins this, that is going to be responsible for building that greenway, is submitted for January. So there is a possibility of the coordination of that as well.
On the south side of there, on the south side of Stoner Creek.
Yes, sir.
Very well. So nothing would be up there on your guys' side if it were to defer for 30 days. But the one that we hope to actually build that greenway is possibly on the January agenda. So I believe what Commissioner Giles is asking is, and I know that's a big step for you, 3 years as a member and representing the church as far as a surveyor. And here tonight, I'm sure it's a question that you weren't aware was going to come at you. But maybe an opportunity to, and even if you know someone at the church that you could call, I'd be willing to move this item to the back of the agenda to allow you to make a phone call to see whether or not you wanted to request a deferral, whether or not you want to continue to press forward with this request tonight.
No, I think requesting a deferral is probably the most prudent thing at this point for the church, because I would like to talk to the church about this and share with them, obviously.
Yeah, you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah. So I don't want to overstep my bounds, so to speak.
That's
I
yeah.
think that would be prudent. Yeah.
And I know, and Commissioner Giles, is this is your district still, or this is Commissioner Hefner's district now?
That's Hefner's.
Okay, so both Commissioner Hefner being his district, but Commissioner Giles being a representative on this board from the BOC, I know that he would be accessible to discuss with you and discuss with a church member as well as city staff. Seems like it's pretty simple, cut and dry, and straightforward kind of an item. But if we could get that work out, and it also prevents having to come back at another time. I mean, being a surveyor, you're familiar with recording easements and marking easements on a plat. If it gives us an opportunity to do it one time and save the cost of such, it also becomes more continuity to it. So would that be a request for deferral?
Yes, it would.
Very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. The next item up on our agenda falls underneath Land Use Plan Amendment, PMDP PUD Amendment. Item 9A, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners to review the land use amendment for neighborhood commercial to multifamily for Windtree Pines Townhomes located at 764 Nonneville Road. Again, this is only the land use plan amendment and not the PUD itself. So with that being said, John, planning.
Yes, sir. Land use amendment being requested for an additional phase in Windtree Pines. This amendment that they're requesting is 12.24 acres, and it'll add 80 townhome units. So the land use now currently is neighborhood commercial, and due to the zoning that they want to request for this, which is RM8, they've got a multifamily land use request that they are seeking. It doesn't jive with our land use plan, and on those, typically staff is going to default to the not recommend if it doesn't match our land use plan. It's in an area with commercial currently up and down that part of Nonneville. But like I said, it's an additional phase onto that existing Windtree Pines subdivision. So with that, if you have any questions.
No, we do not.
Open the floor for questions, comments from the commission.
Got a question.
Commissioner Searcy?
So it doesn't meet the land use plans as RMH?
That is correct.
It's currently neighborhood commercial, which doesn't, that corresponds with office professional services, commercial neighborhood services, lower intensity commercial uses is what the land use plan calls for there.
Lower.
And they're asking for multifamily for the 80 townhomes.
Okay.
Did you say you didn't recommend it?
The land use plan doesn't support it, so staff doesn't support the land use amendment, as the plan that we have does not support it either.
I'm reading that staff recommends forwarding the land use plan. Is that, pardon? Error.
Yeah.
That's why I was a little confused. Okay.
Commissioner George?
A question for Todd. What's your opinion of the traffic impact? I'm going to be tactful in my verbiage here of moving that property from neighborhood commercial to multifamily, knowing that there's 360 plus units adjoining the property on a 2-lane road.
Can I answer that question when we get to the rezone?
Yeah, that's fine. I think I know the answer, but okay.
Their staff did actually prepare a memo comparing the maximum number of trips in the base zoning currently compared to what they're proposing. But that's a zoning issue, not a land use issue, even though those are very closely related.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask Steph, is there common ownership on the 3 parcels in question? Or 3 different applicants?
According to this, it's just one.
So it is common ownership on the 3 parcels?
That's not what the GIS map says.
Has the parcels been adjoined and created one single piece of property though?
What is it? Is it 3? I don't remember how many it is. It just says Beazer is the owner on here.
I looked at the GIS map, unless, I mean, I know GIS maps take some time if the property's been recorded, but they were 3 separate as of today.
Yeah, so 3 owners. Very well. Let's clarify and create the opportunity. Let's ask for representation to this project for the land use amendment only. Name and address for the record.
Merry Christmas, probably. So land use, clarify, 3 separate owners under contract by Beazer for all 3 properties. Bring it out under the umbrella of one common PUD ownership. Properties would be consolidated prior to development. I would like to add to John's statement about the land use recommendation. If you were to flip to the PUD, staff is recommending a positive recommendation to BOC with the PUD plan that's attached, just pending the approval of the land use amendment. So I think based on the merits of the project as presented and what we've been able to work through with staff and prepare and create for you tonight, I think they are recommending the actual plan be approved. So if we could get to the PUD, or oftentimes you hear us give our full, plan presentation at this point, I'd be happy to do so. The associate of mine can come up and speak to that. But like I said, I think 80 units with a PUD amendment to the Windtree development. I think Beazer has gone above and beyond and certainly met the intent and probably exceeded the intent of the original PUD out there. The Nonneville Road improvements have been completed. The regional pump station is almost operational as agreed upon. They're meeting the letter of the law. Beazer's been a good partner to this community for multiple years now. And frankly, I can answer for Todd since he wanted to weigh. We did a concept layout using the existing land use and zoning on that property. We were coming up with somewhere in the 70,000 square feet of commercial space range that we could park with some of the features on site, which would include just neighborhood commercial retail, a potential restaurant, and some office space even. And we're showing that the trips generated by that development as opposed to the 84 townhomes that were included was about 2,700 trips less per day with the proposal in front of you tonight than if it were to develop as a commercial space. Somewhere in the 230 to 260 peak hour trips difference. So it's actually a reduction in net traffic with the proposal tonight. Like I said, the Windtree development's highly amenitized. They're selling like hotcakes in there. There's very few townhomes that are actually within the existing PUD. This gives us a way to transition back, from Nonneville Road back into the development. And as part of the original PUD, this development would have access to all those amenities. So.
Thank you. Further questions, comments?
Not on the land use amendment.
Commissioner Giles? One moment, man. Thank you.
I talked to them earlier today. I'm a little concerned with the density of this. And I didn't read in here, and I should have, but this is fee simple, right, for sale. It's all units that will be for sale. So that is good. This wasn't originally planned, because years ago I voted for this subdivision because I was so enticed by the trails that were left behind from the golf course. And I don't know how many of those have really existed now. I'm sure they had to tear some of those up. But this wasn't a part of that. That wasn't part of the plan.
No.
I didn't think so. So, and as far as your amenities and stuff is concerned, how far is say the middle of this subdivision, for better words, this add-on to where your amenities are?
It's on the far end, obviously. It's a good little walk. We do have trail. We have 10-foot trail from Nonneville all the way back. You do bring up a good point. These three parcels were never anticipated to be included in the original PUD. The density with this project included with the original approval brings you to 2.45 units per acre for the entire PUD. So we're still under that 2.5, 3 units per acre.
Mm-hmm. Because it is condos, I mean, I see a lot of children in here. And so I'm looking at the distance from there to the amenities. And something else I'm really, really concerned about, and because I'm now on the go to the health council here for the county, and that's a lot of education and dealing with the school and stuff like that. We talk about stuff, and the amenities that I read on there, y'all aren't putting anything like a playground or a swing set or something for the children in here, are you?
Will Smith, Beezer Homes, 501 Corporate Center Drive. So to answer your question, Commissioner Giles, we don't have that exactly planned out of exactly what's going to go in there yet. We do have quite a few amenities that are within the project that are already planned, but we're open to whatever those may be. Our original concept was to create a space and then figure out what the best use for those amenities would be.
Tell me what kind of lighting you are putting in here on the streets to illuminate this area.
We would use the typical Mount Juliet standard lighting for you. Talking about street lighting?
Yes.
The typical.
Okay. I thought what we had I thought that was only for like I know this is under multifamily, but isn't what we have in ours for like apartments? It's not,
multifamily.
yeah, and this isn't considered that they would have to comply with that, is it?
Not if they're for sale, no.
Right. So I really like for you to look at that.
Mhm.
We've got a need in our city for the lighting. We've got, one of the things on campaign trail, this is what people were talking about.
Mhm.
We've got a problem with lighting. We sure do. And if anybody walks in the city, you know what I'm talking about. So that really needs to be addressed. The playgrounds are really important because they've proven now that helps the development mentally of kids to be able, believe it or not, to go out and swing and have that opportunity, because in apartment complexes now today and everything, there's little space for people to be able to go play like most of us did.
Mhm.
And so I think we going in the future, we're going to have to plan for these kids. And, if the developer loses a lot or two, what's more important? It's the health of our children in this county, in our city. So I'd like to see some stuff like that.
I guess to me is there merit to move it on to discuss all these items from the land use plan amendment? Are you wanting this kind of density, or we wanted to leave it CRC and see what comes about leaving it CRC?
I've got a question.
Because I got tons of comments on it should it go forward, but please, Commissioner George.
Question for staff. So what's the minimum acreage for multifamily? It's 20, right?
20,
But they're circumventing that by looping this in with the main PUD to make it over 20, because I'm looking at less than 13.
Well, this is a PUD amendment
Yeah.
to that
Mhm.
existing PUD, so.
Well, I know, but I'm acknowledging they want multifamily, and for at least a split second, we're going to circumvent the rule of 20-acre minimum by it becoming multifamily in the hopes that it comes into the PUD. Because that was my understanding, is there's a 20-acre minimum for multifamily.
That's correct.
So
Which this will meet if it.
exactly,
Is in the,
but-
if the PUD is amended tonight. At the BOC eventually.
I
It
don't
wouldn't
like that.
stand alone on its own without being, you're right, you're correct, but since it's an amendment to an existing PUD, it will, when it's all said and done, it's going to exceed that requirement.
But the project itself will be encompassed on 7 acres less than required by the city. Like, I know it's a PUD amendment, I understand, but in the grand scheme of things, these houses are going to sit on 7 acres less than we traditionally would allow. Like, I understand it connects, technically, there's a road that connects, but for all intents and purposes, it's going to be its own neighborhood set aside from Windtree. I know we've got sidewalks and lighting, but I just look at this as 7 acres less than we require anywhere else. That's just me.
Sure. Please.
Sorry, if I may, one thing. With the original PUD, the 20-acre requirement for the multifamily also came up there. But if you look at that PUD, the acreage for the townhomes was restricted to only allow that number of townhomes within the original PUD. So similar here. Common would be common ownership, same developer as your original PUD. We fully understand the 20-acre requirement. I don't think we're not trying to play games. I mean, please take my word for that. I mean, y'all see me every month. It just worked out how it is,
Yeah.
right? And it's this is the number of units. That's the acreage we needed. It works out.
I look at it as it's 2 developments and connected by a road. And that's just what I'm struggling with is
And that's,
we got 12, not even 12 and a half acres
Yeah.
of multifamily for what should be 20.
And Joe, you actually hit my hot button with this one here. And I'm trying my hardest to stick to the land use plan amendment because that's what we're on. We're not talking about the PUD or anything else. But part of our issue when this project was still brought before us was you got to get the townhomes out of there, man. You're doing too much. And we came 2-3 times before we actually found something workable to get us where we are today. And now here we are, 83. Again, right to the front, and the townhomes were placed in almost the same position in regards to the development as we started looking at it. And so you want to find another piece of property, add you some more townhomes to it? I mean, where's your single family? Throw those up there. But let's not shove them all in there. And part of our problem with the Windtree Pines is it took its process through here, multiple deferrals, was density, 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 density. Townhomes, 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 townhomes. And it came to us multiple times through there. And now just you're putting a road to connect to Windtree's entrance and said we're calling them together. Well, my aunt lives in Texas, but that doesn't mean we're together. And it's just, how about terminating your entrance at Nottable Road? You still got a workable project? Is that still what you want? If you did that, I just see it's a missed opportunity. Not that I'm really excited about CRC being right there, but it's an awesome opportunity for something mixed use to have a CRC that would be a community supportive to your dry cleaners, to your convenience retail, or what would be conducive there to a CRC that's meant to complement that many homes that are already right there next to it. But yet we're going to add more homes instead of doing that, where we could push to the front, do our convenience retail, do the commercial. Understand Beazer doesn't do that. And then do your townhomes there to the back. Divide this thing instead of 3 east-west properties, let's divide it into 2 north-south properties. Get your connection for the townhomes. It becomes part of it that way, if that's still what you want at that point, but it probably doesn't because the price is probably not going to match. But the townhomes seem like a missed opportunity in regards to this track. And part of our issue with Windtree Pines in the first place was all the townhomes. And here we are with more townhomes. That's just my thought.
I don't think I could say anything more.
Further questions, comments? For the land use plan only. Yeah, I got more towards that. All right, let's call for citizen comments in regards to this item on our agenda. If citizens wishing to make comment are welcome, encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. You still want to speak?
No.
Okay. You're welcome to. This is the opportunity.
I had a knee replacement out here.
Oh, my geez. Name and address for the record, please.
Barbara Mann, 780 Nonneville Road. Right where they're proposing is a driveway that I live down and Mary lives down as well. Just some concerns about, like he's saying, that's not 20 acres there, that's 13. We're the neighbors on the backside of that. So how all of that will be handled, and our driveway and the water and the sewer and all of what goes along with that, I think. But I guess that's going to come up in the next part. You know, Larry.
Yes, ma'am. This would be, right now, we're just talking about the land use plan amendment and
Okay.
not really the subdivision in itself.
Okay.
And so being a neighbor to it, do you want it to be commercial or do you want it to be residential? Its current allowed uses on these 3 parcels are commercial,
Yeah. Even though there's houses on there right now, all 3 of them.
even though there's houses on there.
Or
The
there
land
was,
use,
and
the
then-
land use plan right now allows for commercial development within it. They would have to change zoning if they submitted something to take it commercial.
Right.
But the land use plan would allow for commercial use on the property.
Yeah.
So I guess as a neighbor right there, which would be your preference? So your opinion matters as much as anyone's.
I don't know. I don't.
Change from resident to commercial, where I live at 780G.
Will you ask that question for her?
Yeah. Will it change from what? Say that again.
Will it change from resident, just like now I pay city tax and county tax.
Oh, she.
From your
but we're
guys'
just-
standpoint, nothing changes.
Right.
Oh,
From where we are, you're saying, for us, nothing changes because of where we are. Yeah.
Say your name for me, Miss Bradley, real quick. Name and address.
Mary Bradley, 780G, Nonneville Road,
Yes, ma'am.
Mount Juliet.
Yes, ma'am.
But I was just wondering, would it anything change? You know, just like now, if I come out in the morning around 6:30, I mean, I have to sit sometime 5 minutes to get out of where I am, out of my drive. And that's right at Windtree Golf Court used to be.
And those cars come around there doing 40, she know. I mean,
Mhm.
time they come down the hill and then you look one way and you look the other way and they're on you. I mean, it's terrible. Traffic is bad right there.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
would you be putting a red light there or how would you get out?
No, ma'am. They would just have a direct, this plan just shows a direct access to Nonneville Road, but it also shows a access directly over to the subdivision itself. If I'm not mistaken, their access road to get from the townhomes to the subdivision crosses your driveway to get to your home.
So would the townhouses come all the way back to my property?
They, according to this plan, Miss Bradley, because I am familiar where you live, there would be townhomes with patios facing the back of your property.
Probably with no woods or anything in between.
They show a tree line, and there's a buffer that they would be required to keep in place.
Right.
So my magic question for you two ladies, and y'all are the property owners directly abutting this property. Would you prefer commercial or would you prefer residential?
Residential. But, just like now, like I know everything changes.
Yes, ma'am.
You can't stop progress, so.
Right.
But I moved there in 65.
I went to school with your son. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I moved there in 65, but I don't know. It's a mess.
Yes, ma'am.
But to put more townhouses there, it's really going to be something, I really want to know what they was going to put over there,
Yeah. Right now, nothing. But this proposal before us tonight is 83 townhomes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll
With
wait
it-
and see.
Probably
Yes, ma'am.
without not really being experienced, knowing the difference between it going commercial or residential on the other side, I wouldn't know how to answer that at this point. You were asking for our preference.
sure.
And I really wouldn't know how to answer that.
Commissioner Giles, that's your
Our attorney.
commissioner.
Okay, so who owns the driveway?
Larry does.
It's what?
It's a private
Okay, it's
right
private
of way.
driveway.
It's a private right of way.
Okay. So if it's a private right of way, how can they cross over that?
Well, they're part of it also. Because they're joining properties with the,
Okay,
with the
okay.
right of way.
Okay. Because I didn't see that on there until, it's still hard to see it, but that's why I had problem with the road. And then I figured it out later when I was on the phone today, that road up there because of all that space in between there. And that's that driveway. Okay. I understand.
Well, I mean, it's either way you look at it. I mean, residential, they're saying they want residential. But I don't know, we might ought to take a chance on the commercial and see what happens. We don't know what they're gonna put in there. I mean, it could be restaurants.
Per this design, there would be curbs on that road connecting to Wind Tree Club Drive, right?
Shane, do you want to speak to that one? Miss Bradley, I know you get that bad hip or the knee, so if you do need to sit down, we welcome that. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
That right away was a big sticking point for staff, and this is getting a bit into the pot again, but they would be required to tie in with what's labeled here as Ash Avenue, and that would be treated like an intersection along their private road that would then connect up to Wind Tree Club Drive, and it'd be essentially consolidating the two roads into one.
So they'd have to go through
The right
one or
way.
the other to get to their.
Correct.
Got it. I see.
Please.
Okay. So if that's the case and it's a private right of way, all right. How many people share this right now that uses it?
It's part of our farm.
Okay.
And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4 residents there.
Okay. So who pays for the maintenance of that road?
I do.
Okay. Has
And-
anybody
and Mr.
approached
Bradley.
anybody to see, where
We
the
all
shared?
pitch in to kind of keep the road up to date.
Okay. But if you don't have something legally, I mean, you're talking about a lot of cars going across that versus what's going across that now.
They're gravel right now.
Well, yeah, but still, and then, so I don't, that part of it, I don't know as far as the ownership, who's responsible for who. I know that can be a mess sometimes, but I think that's something somebody needs to be working out if you've not worked that out.
So as this, yeah, I mean, as this plan sits, they basically are going to have to either cut through Wintry Club Drive or cut through some townhomes to be able to get to their house.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And is this the end? So if you look at the southeast corner, it looks like that road could continue like they're expecting to someday continue building to the east.
So let's do this right here.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they would probably buy all this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
That more traffic down goes farther.
What I'd like to do is table the conversation for the moment. And first of all, let me ask if there's any additional citizen comments at this time. Any citizens wishing to make comment in regards to this item, name and address for the record. All right, seeing no more citizen comments at this time. We've had a lot of discussion towards the PUD amendment. And at this point in time, we need to figure out if we can get to a land use amendment. So at this point in time, I'd like to call for a recommendation in regards to review the land use plan amendment for neighborhood commercial to multifamily for Wintry Pines located at 764 Nonneville Road. Looking for a motion in regards to that item on our agenda.
Motion for a negative recommendation.
Second.
It's a motion and a second for a negative recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? It is a negative recommendation. With that being said, next item up on our agenda is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners is to review the major PUD amendment, including a rezone from CNS to RM8 for Wintry Pines Townhomes located at 764 Nonneville Road. At this point in time, I want to make a motion to defer this item from our agenda.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second for the deferral of item 9B. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? That item has been deferred. I am looking for an adjournment.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstentions? We are adjourned.